Man, PragerU has really fallen off. It seems like more than ever they've got videos struggling to hit or break 10k views. Though to be fair, if you go back further, they've still got some videos. It's so weird. You've got videos that get nearly 1 million views next to videos that can't break 5k. I guess it has to do with their choice of coverage, but I don't know, man. It just seems like this isn't a sustainable business practice. Although PragerU is literally funded by oil billionaires, so maybe they've just got an infinite well of dark money to pull from, like shadow money. The recent uploads are quite interesting. I think they've just gone full down the conspiracy pipeline as if they hadn't already. I don't care about their capital gains tax crash course. Truth revealed. Dr. Scott Atlas on why we were forced to jab and mask. Anti-vax shit. 100 days after October 7th. Pro-Israel shit. PragerU is not a real university. An ad for themselves framed as, like, responding to criticism. A video about Diddy getting raided by the feds. Woodrow Wilson, World War I in the League of Nations. I don't care. I don't care. Hamas, Nazis, and calling out evil. This one probably didn't do too well, considering calling Nazis evil in a PragerU video gets them a lot of hate comments from their own fans. They try to avoid that these days. Would you sign a petition to bring back segregation? No shot. No shot. No shot. Guys, are we actually gonna get a PragerU video where they send some white guy around to ask? I'm guessing it's going to be based on, like, the flashes I saw. I guess they asked, like, a variety of people. Would you sign a petition to bring back segregation? Why? Why would you ask this? What point would this prove? Because if a lot of people say yes, that just proves that racism is alive and well. And if a lot of people say no, then, like, I can just point out the fact that you're at a college campus right now, and that's probably one of the least likely locations to have people say they want segregation back ever. Or maybe they're going to try to frame it as if, like, woke people want segregation back. But they're, like, the form of segregation is going to be worded as, like, safe spaces away from white people or something, like, woke sounding along those lines. To be fair, college students can be pretty dumb and overzealous in some of their political fanaticism, but their heart's in the right place.
A conversation
generally.
And this man comes up. Hey, look, hey, fuck blood, YouTube channel.
You're making colored people feel
Conversations are racist.
uncomfortable. You're being condescending. You're being condescending.
What's up, guys? Aldo here with PragerU. There's been a national conversation about race going on for a long time now. So today, we're at UCLA to ask students what they think about the Black National Anthem, Black-only student dormitories.
The Black National Anthem? Guys, if I haven't heard of it, it's not really a thing. Like, am I racist or have I not heard the Black National Anthem? Because it's not, like, a thing outside of some, like, insular Twitter hotep spheres or something. What the fuck is the Black National Anthem? Like, if it's something I should know, then, like, let me know, but I don't. I feel like I would have heard about it. I feel like I'd know.
And to see where they'll draw the line on race-based segregation. Let's go see what they say.
You guys haven't been holding out on me, right? You guys haven't been holding secrets from me. Like, every black person I've ever met has been hiding the existence of the Black National Anthem from me? Has this been a concerted conspiracy? Are the racist white people right about there being, like, a council somewhere? And they've ordained that I shall never know of the national anthem? What is this shit? So basically they're going to try to describe, like, segregated dormitories in the way that, like, I'm going to be honest, I don't like the idea of segregated dormitories. I don't like the idea of segregated anything, no matter how woke it's, like, defined as. PragerU is probably going to cherry pick the fuck out of a select few overzealous, like, so progressive they've horseshoed back around into being arguably racist in the policy prescriptions they advocate for. But I have to remind you all, these are the same types of people who are like chanting in favor of Hamas, as well as chanting for like not voting for Biden and letting Trump win to punish Democrats. Like, these are the most politically ineffective and yet still disaffected people on the left. They're the doomers of the left who are like, they care about nothing other than virtue signaling how woke they are in an almost like contrarian way.
Okay. So today we're talking about the Black National Anthem. Have you guys heard of this before?
No.
This video has a ratio of 2.6K likes to 2.8K dislikes. That is hilarious.
I have, but not in depth.
No.
No, I haven't.
This video is really quiet. I don't know if it's just me, but I can barely hear this video. I'm going to volume boost it.
What do you think about it?
It's great. Lift every voice and sing.
Well, it's called Lift Up Every Voice and Sing. It was created by one of the founders, I believe, of the NAACP, and essentially it was made to be a specific national anthem for the Black community, to give them a sense of community and belonging.
Well, I'm half African, half Black, so I fully support it. I think it's amazing.
I actually am Black. I don't really look it that much, but I'm biracial. Yeah.
Look at that.
No, we're basically the same.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. It's like,
there are tons of people who are like biracial that like their skin is a lot lighter and it's like that, but if you saw their parents, you'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, no. I hate that there is a lot of like erasure of the Black identity of a lot of biracial people, and ironically enough, it's not even like, it's mostly not a white people thing too, because white people, when they're racist, don't tend to discriminate between like shades of not white essentially, but within the Black community in particular, boy, is colorism a problem. Oh, it is a fucking problem. It is a very big problem. Like, they're down to the point where there are entire, like, hordes of people on Twitter that will call you the C slur if you are biracial. Like, they will just, like, see you being biracial in your profile picture and call you the C slur. And I know this because I've gotten into fights with these groups on Twitter before, and then my fans have gotten into arguments with them in the replies, and then they proceed to call them the C slur, you know, the one that I'm referring to, because they see their profile picture and see their mixed race. Like, the types of people who engage in that sort of behavior are obviously disgusting. I have to admit, horseshoe theory, it's kind of got a point. There is a certain point where some people get so overzealous in their progressive politics that they do start to horseshoe around, it feels. When like the idea of trying to come off as more radically progressive because being radically progressive is like a principally good thing, or being progressive is a good thing, so more progressive must mean more good. But like that, like saying, like going from there should be spaces where POC are safe from racism, going from that to Black people should have their own bathrooms, dormitories, and spaces with no white people allowed is not more progressive, even if it seems like the more radically progressive like position from the initial one, right? But it seems like that's the line a lot of these types try to like go down to almost like maximize their wokeness. And I use the term wokeness here because, I mean, it just kind of fits. You guys know what I mean when I say this, but like it's a very weird practice. It's more common with like younger people like this, you know? Obviously, I'm not talking about these individuals in the video. I'm just talking about like the young people who are no doubt inevitably going to answer with cringe responses in this video, because that's what they're fishing for and like selecting for in their video they filmed and edited and uploaded.
because Black people are a very big portion of the country and like they matter. So give them a voice.
We are having this petition to federally adopt the Black National Anthem, and was wondering if you would be willing to sign it.
I'll sign.
That'd be awesome.
Why not?
Thank you so much.
Of course. Of course.
That'd be great. Thank you so much.
Is this just trolling? Is that what this is? Is this like a made-up thing and they're like trolling these people or something?
Are there people against it?
Some people, yeah. You know, some people say that it's segregating and that, you know, the national anthem is an anthem for all Americans regardless of race.
I think if people want to celebrate themselves, they can if it's not hurting anybody.
Another signature added to the list, you guys. We're killing it on campus. So we're all
I like how he's shorter than, like, pretty much everybody that he talks to, besides, like, a few women. He is, like, considerably shorter than pretty much every guy he speaks to in this video. I find that quite amusing. No, I do find it interesting how many of these young people are so easy to, like, get. It is so easy to get them to sign a fucking petition advocating for segregation by convincing them that it is woke to do so. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of that one TED scene. Let me see if I can find it. From the TED show. Where's that one fucking scene? It goes so hard. It's in this clip.
I
but-
think one of the first ones that went viral was the of-
can I not skip through it? I can't skip through it. I hate YouTube Shorts. God, please, smite the creator of YouTube Shorts. Let them burn in hell for all eternity. I give my soul to Satan. I will give my soul to Satan to burn in hell forever if it means the creator of YouTube Shorts gets to burn in hell for all eternity with me. Please, please take my soul, Satan, in exchange for this deal. I will, please. The hatred I feel for the creator of YouTube Shorts transcends that the care I have for my mortal soul. Fucking hell. Please, I want to find this bit. It's so funny. Is it on TikTok?
Hey, you guys want to?
Yeah, okay, this is a video of a clip of the video. All right, I got it. Here's a TikTok of it.
Hey, you guys want to see something terrifying? Watch this. Everybody wave your arms. Everybody jump in the air. Let's invade Poland. See that? That's the Milgram experiment. That's how it starts, with dancing. The dance.
And that's what that reminds me of. That's what these, like, random college students agreeing to sign a petition for segregation because they've been convinced it's woke reminds me of. Everyone wave your hands in the air. Everyone jump. Let's invade Poland. Woo!
also petitioning for black student housing here on campus. What do you think about black student housing in the vein of creating an equitable campus?
I think that they should definitely have it. Because of how the privileges in our society, I think that there should be all the support you can get around the minorities.
My freshman year, I stayed on the African diaspora floor here on campus. I did that because coming in here, I wanted to, create that sense of community.
I'm okay with it because I know some of my friends just aren't comfortable.
What is your response to people that say that that's racial segregation?
Well, it is, but again, if that's what it takes to feel safe.
I personally don't think that.
No. This is only a valid argument if you are willing to stand by the idea that principally you value, no matter what state of things or the consequences or context, you value the comfort of someone who is like POC over the comfort of someone who is white, just principally. The comfort of one party or the other should not be a concern, because there will always be cases in which there are people who are made uncomfortable by another group having rights. So, notably, when segregation was originally being ended, notably in bathrooms, famously white segregationist women would argue fervently that they didn't feel safe having black women enter their bathrooms. They felt that black women were a threat to them and a threat to the children they would take with them into women's bathrooms, because a lot of moms do that. And that was like a huge argument for segregating bathrooms, was that particularly white women would be made uncomfortable if black people could go to the same bathroom, or specifically black women could go to the same bathroom as white women. That, the argument was white women's discomfort was an argument for segregation. So this guy has, and I have to admit, PragerU got a guy who's pretty clever here, basically getting these college kids to, through the same line of logic, argue that if it makes black people more comfortable, then we should do segregation. The fact is, comfort should not be the priority. Freedom and people's rights and rights to free movement should be a priority. In fact, I argue that whether you like it or not, you should be forced to be as integrated as possible. All data shows, and these fucking college students should know it, all sociological data shows that exposure to people of other groups, identities, etc., decreases the amount of internalized bigotry you have, the amount of ignorance, the amount of walls you might have up, and reservations you might have about those groups. The same applies to even characters that are, frequently showcased in media you might consume, even fictional. So the idea that segregation could have any positive outcome whatsoever, even if it makes POC more comfortable, absolutely ridiculous. We have to remember that they probably edited out the reasonable college students as well. That's a given, of course, and I've said that multiple times, but you have to remember the fact that there are going to be a fair amount of college students willing to go with this, thinking it's a progressive idea. I mean, maybe it just speaks to the fact that, college students are not that smart, but it could also maybe suggest that there is some gaps in progressive politics that can be exploited by right-wing pundits. I mean, how many of the people answering these questions do you think are really like one conversation away with like the right person, or I would say the wrong person, from becoming like a full-on Hotep type, like believing that like Jewish Israeli influence is pushing racist, like establishment Democrat, like pro-cop, anti-leftist shit, and they stop Bernie from getting elected? Like, how many of these people that are getting interviewed and agreeing to sign the petition form for segregating their dorms do you think are just one conversation away from becoming hardcore Hoteps? Probably a fair amount of them, I think. I think a fair amount of them might be. College students are dumb, impressionable, and actively trying to find a new identity. Obviously, I don't mean to be so derisive, but, college students aren't known for their intelligence, let's be honest, okay? They're smart, but they're also dumb, okay?
That black housing is a form of racial segregation. It's a form of building community amongst a minoritized community.
Would you be willing to sign this petition for us today?
Please say no.
Sure.
So in that
I think she doesn't really get what the petition entails, and she's just like, okay, and just wants to end that conversation. I don't think she's really in favor of it. I don't think she fell for it.
same vein of like creating the community, we also have one for UCLA water fountains for colored people only, and we're wanting to get a signature on this.
He outright worded that the same way they used to word the segregationist policy. God, if they fall for that line, oh my lord. I really hope they don't fall for that line. Are they really gonna sign a petition for colored people water fountains, quote unquote? Are they actually gonna sign that petition? Are they really gonna fall for that?
We haven't gotten it yet, and we're wondering if you will be the first one to sign it.
I can't sign that.
Oh, thank God.
Why?
Because I don't want to. We should all have shared water fountains, no?
It's for their own community, they don't have to use it, but we want to create spaces for black people that are just their own. Just like housing and just...
That wasn't what segregation was, by the way. Segregation wasn't there were places where black people could go or where black people were only allowed, because white people were allowed to go where there was segregation. I'm pretty sure it was completely allowed, for example, for a white person to sit at the back of the bus or to enter a black people only bathroom or a black people only water fountain. It's the other way around that's not allowed. There were no cops caving in white people's rib cages for using the colored folks only water fountain, which, by the way, those signs were still up when my mom went to school in Florida, by the way. In public schools in Florida, when my mom went to elementary school, the signs were still up. They weren't like enforced. It wasn't like a thing anymore, but the signs were still kept up for historical reasons. And I kind of, if that was a genuine reason, like if they genuinely kept them up for the historical reasons, like framed them and like had a big exhibition next to it about the evils of segregation and racism, that would actually be a quite cool way of sort of like turning that into like a little living piece of history of the school, like showcasing a sin of America's past. But I don't think that was the real reason. I think it was like the same reason that conservatives try to justify having like a racist school mascot for a team sport, you know?
Just like national anthem to have their own water fountains.
Pass. I'll pass.
Would you sign this?
No, I wouldn't.
Why not?
No, I don't like them.
Tell me why.
I feel like that is segregated.
You can share a water fountain. People aren't dirty. The dormitories, because that's different because it's a living space.
Why the hell would
Why do we need to segregate living spaces? Like, a dorm is meant to be a communal space. The idea behind a dorm is that once you leave your dorm room, you're in the, like, you've got the common room, you've got the hallways. Generally, people leave their doors open from what I've seen of colleges in my life. And it's like not like people have their doors shut, but there are a lot of people who are just like, yeah, I mean, I want to open my door and feel like I'm part of like the community, you know? The idea of segregating entire dorms is awful. Like, you're essentially reducing the, like, how many people do you think were like maybe a little weird about race? Not like outright racist, but a bit weird about race. And maybe that could have festered into something worse if left unattended. But then they go off to college. They're like Fox News, Tucker Carlson fan dad isn't around to influence them anymore. And they end up falling into a friend group with a trans friend, a gay friend, a bunch of women, so like a couple of friends that are not white, you know, some POC friends or whatever. And like just from having those friends, those weird takes on race just start to melt away. That is a valuable experience that I feel is like really important that college provides. And I don't like the idea of getting rid of that for the sake of like this bogus idea of making POC feel safer because there's no white people around. Like, come on. Like, white people need to be around not white people so they'll not be weird about not white people, okay? That won't solve the problem. That'll let the problem fester and grow.
I want a black-only water fountain?
Why the hell would you want a black-only dormitory?
To live with my community. Something that, as people from outside the community...
He's got them caught here. I can't, listen, I can't save her. I can't save her. I can't save her. Like, she really did just fall into this one, guys. I don't know what to tell you. Like, she just kind of fell right into this trap.
You wouldn't understand.
To build a sense of community for sure, because a lot of black students feel as if they're not supposed to be here because obviously it's predominantly white.
They're separate, but they're equal.
No, that's not how that works.
Yes, it's separate, but as long as it's equal.
I wouldn't say that either.
Separate, but as long as it's equal.
You know what he's thinking there. You know what that face he's making at his friend. His friend's just giving him like a beaming, like awkward smile, and he's just looking at his friend with this face. Everyone knows what this face means. Everyone knows what he's thinking right now.
I wouldn't say that either. The separate but equal clause is what they used to define Jim Crow, so no thank you.
Isn't that what black-only dormitories are?
What was that laugh? I was laughing at the face he made. It was perfect.
No.
How are they not?
I just said it's a community.
I understand wanting to come together and have a sense of community.
You know, it'd be cool if these people... Man, it really sucks that there aren't, like, spaces where adult, like, well-rounded or not conservatives, lefties gather together that you could argue conservatives should go to. But, like, the only place, realistically, that they would go to find a lot of people who believe this kind of stuff, who are, like... arguably should be politically informed and well-rounded on these thought processes is a college campus, but these are also all like what at the oldest 22-year-olds or whatever, 21-year-olds. Maybe some of them go to college for longer, but like what's the average amount of time in college? 4 to 6 years. So a lot of them are still in their early 20s, if not their late teens, like 18, 19. So they're not all that well-rounded. They're not media trained professionals. They aren't going around their college campus expecting some weirdo with a microphone to like catch them in some gotcha to epically own their political worldview for some like multi-million sub YouTube channel. So it's kind of like the grounds have always been with this type of content, like very uneven. And this has always been meant to be like, let's laugh at people who don't agree with us, who aren't like super politically informed, you know? It's funny to me that these people seem to champion the idea of not caring about politics and just being a griller so much. And these kids are having some of the most griller takes I could imagine, like really not catching on to the fact that this is an obvious ploy to get them caught in a gotcha saying, well, you just defended segregation. Like they're clearly not very politically online. So it's weird that they see that as like a gotcha for these kids, I guess, you know? And like, mind you, none of these kids are like, there's no way they could know these kids are progressive, right? By looking at them. Notice how every person, at least of my memory so far, that they have interviewed is not white. So the argument he is trying to make here is that non-white people want segregation, and you can trip them up and catch them on that if you hit them with the right gotcha. So if you actually accurately titled this video, it wouldn't be, would you sign a petition to bring back segregation? An accurate title for this video would be tricking minorities into signing a petition for segregation. That would actually be the accurate title of what he is doing in this video. Am I wrong? Has he interviewed a single just like white person here? Or is it literally all POC that he's like singling out to try to like catch them up, saying they actually want segregation under certain circumstances, it turns out, because they're not very like well argued like interlocutors.
But I think it should just be available to everybody, no matter what.
I think if anybody is thirsty, anybody should be able to drink from any water fountain, you know?
Just like anybody should be able to live in any dorm, right?
Ah.
How is it any different than racially segregating dormitories in 2024?
It's not.
You are a black person. Should I talk to white people about these issues?
Sure. How about we ask a white person?
Yeah, let's do it.
Looks around. There's got to be one around here somewhere.
Doesn't this also like create a fission in society as well then?
Ding, ding, ding.
They did find the whitest guy too. Holy shit. Like she was like, hold on, I'm going to find a white person. I was like, why is she looking around so much? There's white people everywhere. It's a college campus in like what, UCLA? I don't know where this is. But like like she looked around because she was trying to find the whitest guy. And she found this dude who looks like if Michael Kelso from that 70s show existed today and was like a teenager today instead of the 70s.
If I gave you this petition again and it said UCLA colored housing, how would you feel about that?
Colored is just like, that's not cool. That's like a slur in my opinion.
I don't know. Because it's...
Okay, they're going to try to catch them up here in like a gotcha. So for those of you guys that don't know, and people are already calling it out, what is considered politically correct language evolves a lot over time. And so believe it or not, there are terms that are today considered very not progressive, one of them being colored in this context, that were frequently used by civil rights activists, white, black, whatever like race you could imagine, during the civil rights movement of the 60s. And that term was still considered relatively polite and woke even in the early 70s. But around then, we started to see a bit of a switch up. Prior to that, calling a black person black was not seen as like socially acceptable. Like if in the 1950s you called a black person black, they'd be like, okay. And like go on with their day probably and just think of you as a racist, rude person, because that was generally considered a pretty derogatory thing to call someone. But over time, that changed. For a while, African American was like the term that was considered politically correct. But now that's considered pretty pretty cringe. Like, if every time I talked about black people on my stream, would you guys, and if I said, like, African Americans, you guys would cringe your eyes out. I guarantee you. After, like, a day of me doing that, you'd stop watching me. And nowadays, it's just, like, we've reached the point where it's like, yeah, black. That's, no one thinks you're racist if you say black, and it's not, like, obviously there's conservatives who will, like, you'll hear a conservative, and they'll say black, and they'll say it in a certain way. You know what I mean? I almost don't even want to try to imitate it, because for one, I don't think I could do it well, and for two, I don't want anyone to be able to clip me saying it that way, because it's like, you can sense the N-word in the way they say it, just tonally.
The same thing as saying black people housing.
Do you think it's important for us to
Or
look
they put
at
a the
life
blacks,
through
yeah,
the lens
or
of
blacks,
race,
yeah.
or
We'll say it like
we
that.
should reject that and not look at our racial identity as so important?
I think we should definitely acknowledge what goes on in terms of race. In terms of like how we operate in life, we should, you know, see through that.
Why y'all talking about black people?
Because we want to. Because we want to.
What?
We're having a conversation. I can talk to you in a little bit. But why are you coming over to us? So I just went.
Okay, so for those of you guys that don't know, these like media companies pay people to act as plants all the fucking time. For example, we covered a Charlie Kirk video recently. Charlie Kirk is connected to PragerU. He pretty regularly appears on their videos as like a guest. Charlie Kirk, in a video we covered from him recently, I suspected that a certain person in the crowd who was wearing a shirt, it was an all-black shirt, or it was an all-white shirt with black text, simple black text that just said feminist. I am not aware of any company or business that just sells plain white shirts with black text that says feminist on it. So when I saw that, I got a little suspicious that that might be a Charlie Kirk plant meant to like say something dumb and get the crowd to agree with it and start like the rest of the crowd to start like, you know, just kind of make the crowd behave the way the performer wants them to. Like magicians and sleight of hand artists do this all the time with crowds, where they have like planted audience members meant to guide the crowd's reaction and whatnot. It's a very common practice. There's also like street performers who do this, who will like they'll add a little cash to their like hat that they're collecting money in, or their guitar case, to make it look like people are already doing it, that kind of thing. It's just a common practice, right? And so I wouldn't be surprised if this bizarre like confrontation is about to be a completely like planted thing, because in my experience, like black people don't just like assail you on a college campus because they hear you having a conversation about race. Like I don't, that's not a thing that's happened in my experience. Granted, I haven't talked about race on many college campuses. Maybe the second you say black on a college campus, you just like, you hear like the "it's become nighttime" sound from Dying Light happen, and then all of a sudden like 1,000 green-haired SJW students just like horde up on you like it's World War Z and beat you to death, and they like rip you apart and eat you like that one guy in Smiling Friends.
To do an interview with this gentleman. Did I harass you at all?
No.
We're having a conversation, and this man comes up and says that we cannot.
Hey, look, hey, blood YouTube channel.
He is.
What are you talking about? This channel.
Oh, maybe he's not a
This
plant.
channel.
You're being condescending. You're being condescending, and you're patronizing us, man.
See you, man.
Man, I wonder what led up to this stuff happening. It's interesting how just out of nowhere there was a cut, and then all of a sudden people are screaming at them. I guess they just saw this guy having a conversation with the other dude, and they just exploded, and that's all it took. I mean, must be they're crazy lefties, right? I mean, they couldn't possibly be like normal people. Surely there's no context edited out in that like bizarre cut between like the guy is standing there and then all of a sudden the guy is screaming and recording with his phone. Surely nothing was cut out there.
Making colored people feel
Conversations are racist.
uncomfortable.
We have people
You're
following me.
You're
Yell
harassing
at.
my community
We'll go this way.
with your racist joke.
Hey,
we're
get
not
away from
following
me.
you.
It's a gangster.
Get away from me.
It's a gangster on UCLA.
Get
Is that
out
a
of here.
threat? Why are you following me? This is what happens when you try to have conversations at UCLA.
What a beta. He is getting mogged down by these woke SJWs right now. This is a perfect example of the right doing the whole, like, the left are so weak, they're beta cucks, but meanwhile he's like two guys are just fucking walking his ass off campus. Just two random dudes. Just two random fucking dudes came along and are walking him off campus because, like, these guys do not tend to be all that intimidating of people. They LARP online about how they're, like, Aryan super soldiers or whatever the hell, but they're not impressive specimens themselves. They're quite normal people, and they don't exactly have what it takes to, like, do the day of the rope they so badly want to do.
You have people threaten you. You have people yelling at you, like this guy. Well, you guys, that's a wrap for that episode.
Okay. What state is this? That's a really nice college campus. Look at that. Look at that nice ass grass area. Everyone's like sitting out. They've got hammocks. People are picnicking. Gosh. The only part of college that I find even somewhat interesting is the dorm life. If I had my own dorm room and bathroom and internet connection, high speed fiber, power, kitchen, refrigerator, washer dryer, washing machine or dishwasher, sink, cabinets, garage, elevator, bunker, basement, shooting range. No, I'm just kidding. I feel like you probably couldn't have like your own dormitory basement shooting range on like a college campus. They probably wouldn't allow that. That would be cool if they made like marksmanship a college sport. I could see why in America that would be controversial, but I feel like there's other countries where marksmanship is like taught as a college sport. On a college level, they have marksmanship at the Olympics. I've seen it. I've seen Olympic marksmanship. So do they do college marksmanship in America? And if so, where do they do it? It can't be on campus. For obvious reasons. Where would they... Do they just go to, like, a place and meet up? If that's even is a thing? I don't know. Regardless, what a nice campus. It's so pretty. I really like it. I don't know where it is, but it kind of looks like maybe the East Coast. At first, I thought maybe, like, Pacific Northwest where I am, because some of the trees. But now looking at it, it looks more like it's probably, like, north to central East Coast. Very pretty college campus. Besides this ugly-ass dude standing here ruining the scene and fucking with people's day. California. Probably Northern California then. Yeah, besides this fuck-ass standing here and ruining everybody's day, what a beautiful college campus and a nice day. I hope those people are having a nice one. I like the hammocks and their entire vibe just set up on the hill. Very cozy, very comfy. But yeah. PragerU has really fallen off, haven't they? Like, when this is they're actually, like, recycling Caitlyn Bennett's entire channel idea, which completely fell off and failed, by the way. It's SoCal. Okay. Yeah. Really fucking hilarious to me. We have sport shooting in Canadian universities? That's like a sport they offer? That's so cool. Yeah, that's really neat. See, Canada's actually got really based firearm laws. Like, there are definitely things I don't agree with, but stuff like the daily mandatory background checks, the, like, calling your significant, like, others and spouses or ex-spouses and stuff to see if you have a history of, like, abuse or anything like that, like the regular checks for, like, mental health problems. I do think that Canada has some pretty good, like, systems we could adopt ourselves when it comes to firearm safety. But that's not really on topic. Obviously, I think that a fair amount of the people in this video would agree because they're college students, they're young progressives, they're probably not super pro-gun. But regardless, I think the issue overall here is that a lot of young college students are just not very well-rounded in their politics, so it's very easy to catch them up in easy internet, like, pundit gotchas. But I don't think most of these kids are, like, bad people. They very clearly went back on what, like, the gotcha was trying to get them to say when it got them to that point. They didn't just suddenly say, oh, I guess I like segregation. They very quickly were like, wait a second. No, wait, I see what you're doing. So, you know, there's hope for them. There's hope for them for sure.